We are live. Hope you can all hear me okay. Let's wait for some of the guys to fill in. Back by popular demand is the Sunday service. I have never, ever got so many emails about one thing ever as the Sunday service. It's like some sort of tradition. I didn't do it the last couple of weeks. Hi, I can't pronounce your name, I'm sorry. I didn't do it the last couple of weeks because just life got in the way, and that's what happens, unfortunately, with real life. Hi, Sean. It's a very strange experience to understand that suddenly this feature that YouTube rolls out becomes part of sort of like Radioland, like this scheduled thing is supposed to happen. So I had to go at 3 o'clock today because at 2 o'clock today I was actually in the middle of a forest. We're walking around. I don't remember the place now, Abbey Leaks or somewhere in some sort of a forest there. And it took a while to get there. V class. Wow, we're off the questions already. V class. What do I think about V class? I don't really think about V class. V class is pretty good. If for Mercedes we're talking about here, so it's all right. Yeah, there just really isn't much around at the moment, is there? Man there in the Grand Prix Monaco on TV. Find another moment, please. Monaco on TV. Hey Bob, not sure if you remember, but a while ago I asked you if you were going to Goodwood. Was worth it? Well, I'm going, pretty keen. Yes, I do remember you asked me about Goodwood. Goodwood is probably one of the best car shows you will ever come across anywhere, because you can just wander about the place. It's wild. You can just wander in and out of things. You get to see sort of everything, and everything is on display. The freak cars, the good cars, the kind of ordinary basic cars, they're all there as well, which is pretty good. John McGarvey. Hi John, how are you? V-Class, yeah, that's okay. But lots of people spam. Fine, we keep on trucking. God, there's so many of you already. This is good. Keep going. This is great. Don't forget to click the like button. Just get something out of the way as well. There's a Patreon account set up for my account, which will support the freedom of this channel, which allows me to be able to talk about cars in any way I possibly want to. I've never bowed down to the advertising abilities of car companies. So if you can possibly submit anything for as little as $2 a month, you too can support this channel. It's patreon.com/nextgear, and you'll see it in the comments below. So if you click on open the show more tab, you'll see the link to that account there, and if you can put in anything there, it'd be brilliant. But at the very least, while you're here, subscribe. Click the subscribe button. It's not hard to do. Little red button just below that, and that's totally free, right? It's always optional to put money into the Patreon thing. And click the like button, because it lets everybody know, notify people that this is actually happening. Hey Bob, for my other account has been hacked over the last few months. I wasn't here. And the moderator, by the way, this is my second account. Hi Lars, how are you? Grand, we're doing okay. We're finding the way we are at the moment. What do you think of the new Skoda Karoq? I haven't driven it. If it's anything like the Seat Ateca, it's going to be a great car in a Skoda sense. I love what Skoda do. One of my all-time favorite cars is Skoda Octavia. There's one outside the door. There's videos on my channel there about Skoda Octavia. Skoda tend to make really clever versions of the Volkswagen Group cars, which is great. But I would definitely think about the Kodiaq or the Seat Ateca, because the Karoq is basically the same car as the Ateca. So it's a bit tricky on that one. But we get there in the end. Once I have a drive it, a touchy-feely thing, you get more of an idea what something is like anyway. Brendan Burke asks, hey, when's the new VW Touareg out? I don't know, actually. That's a good question. I don't know. They need a new one, that's for sure, because, the Kodiaq is out, and that chassis is ready. The Q5 is out. So I presume the Touareg is coming behind it. I don't know if they're going to continue. It wasn't great seller last time out. JP O'Callaghan asks, opinion on the last 2-year-old Volkswagen Tiguan or Mazda CX-5, both 4-wheel drive and automatic. Tiguan would be the nicer of the two of those, but JP, the thing is, 2-year-old is fab. How was the treat of the last 2-year-old? So the Mazda would probably be a little bit more dependable because it'll put up with more punishment over 2 years. But both of those cars are family type cars, which means they'll be driven pretty hard and they'll be used pretty difficultly. So you really will need to look out for the right one. But giving all things being equal, I would sooner see a Volkswagen Tiguan outside my front door than a Mazda, because they'd appreciate better rates for Volkswagen. That said, nothing wrong with a Mazda. It just tends to be a little bit more sporty, a little bit more solid under you. Very good engines, great stuff, but bad fuel economy, and the fuel tank's too small as well. I would look more particularly at the Volkswagen Tiguan. It's interesting to see what will happen here in Australia. Skoda is positioned as a more premium than VW. Really? In Australia? I don't know. Well, premium is as premium does in that Forrest Gump sort of way. A lot of people think it's premium. Like if you drive a 10-year-old car and you buy anything brand new, like a Dacia, that will feel premium because 10 years is a long way between the two. If you drive a 2-year-old car, premium to you will feel very differently. It's the very same as me going on to a luxury hotel. What you think is luxury, what I think is luxury, what I think is premium or top of the range is not the same as what you might think of what premium top of the range is. So it's a very difficult one to base around, but it's the way you feel about things. Hi Bob, what do you think of the best diesel 2-litre car for under power and economy? There's a good question, Craig, but there's two different questions in that. You will not get a powerful, fuel-efficient car. That's pretty difficult. The more fuel efficient you want, the less power you can have. The more power you want, the less fuel efficient you can have. If you want fuel efficient, you need to go very light. You need to get the lightest possible car you can. The Skoda Octavia, I have that's a 2-litre diesel right now. Power is not great on it. Like it's all right, but it's not great. But the fuel economy is very good. The other end of the scale, then you can go into something like a 3-litre diesel, like an Audi A6, where you'll get great fuel economy because it's only ticking over the motorway, but around the town it just eats fuel. So Volkswagen Group is still at the top of that list again for fuel economy versus power. I don't know what it's like since Dieselgate. Maybe that may have changed things. What do you think of the new Volkswagen Jetta? I try not to think of Jetta. I know Jetta is considered in America as quite a premium car. Over here, Jetta is a Golf with a boot, and it's a strange place to be. I quite like Jetta in a way, but some of them look dreadful. I tend to steer towards a Golf Estate, Skoda Octavia Estate particularly. My ideal car in that range would be Skoda Octavia DSG Estate, probably 1.4-litre TSI actually. Hey, or line on a Touran, any thoughts? Touran is a brilliant car. The current one, brilliant car. 7 seats, really do work. Great efficiency from the engines and stuff. Our line just adds a few bits and pieces of spec. It's worth it if you can afford it. If you can't, the basic one is just as good. In Australia, Skoda has only been here for about 10 years and only gaining traction now. The Skoda Octavia VRS accounts for 25% of all Skoda sales here. Fairly niche brand, nice. That's nice if they're selling VRSs. I may or may not work for Skoda dealership 2 weeks ago. You just got a job working for Skoda. I like it. No, working for Skoda. If it was there's a couple of car brands I wouldn't mind working for out there at the moment, and Skoda would be definitely one of them. Not that I'm looking for a job. For Skoda, thanks. Brian Shaw, will the Mazda BT Ute ever enter the Irish market to compete with the Ranger? I doubt it. I very much doubt it. Utes don't tend to sell well here. I was overtaken yesterday by a Commodore, an Australian Commodore Ute. It's the first Ute. And I've seen a Skoda Fabia Ute. Do you ever see the Skoda Fabia Ute? See one of them here. Utes very rarely appear in the Irish market. They tend to be the Toyota Hilux type car. But even that has such a restricted market. It's very, very hard to trouble that. Have you ever been to Thailand? No. I'm going for 2 weeks. Is there anything you recommend doing? I have not ever been to Thailand. No. That's a very good question, but no, unfortunately I haven't been to Thailand. Stay safe. Don't die. Don't get lost. Don't get stabbed, and don't take drugs. After that, you should be okay. Stay in the tourist area. I tend to say to people, when they're traveling in Europe, land in the airport, go to the city centre, see the tourist crap, and get out to where the locals hang about, because everything's going to be cheaper for you. Thailand will probably be the same, but as my understanding, Thailand's very cheap all over. But if you stick to the tourist area and stick with people you know and you're familiar with, Ross, be very careful with that, because you are in, I'm not saying there's any danger about Thailand, but you are in a zone that has a reputation for having a lot of drugs in it. So be very careful of what you take and where you take it and who you're with when you take it, okay? View on an '07 Focus for first car. Is 150,000 miles too much? No. What's your thoughts on the Focus, and have you ever heard of any major problems associated with the previous generation of Focus? Yeah. Ford Focus. Any car will last 250,000 miles if it's treated properly, without really any problems these days. A '07 Ford Focus, if it's the 1.4-litre petrol, should have no problems whatsoever. The only thing I've ever heard is slippy clutches on a Ford Focus, but you will detect that immediately by starting the car, make sure it's warm, put it into first, and take your foot slowly off the clutch without adding any power, right? So if you don't put any power on the accelerator, the clutch should slip, and you'll hear it slip along the way. And if it doesn't slip, then you're fine. Yeah, Commodores. Yeah, literally yesterday, right here in Portlaoise, a V8 Commodore went burbling by me. It was beautiful. There's some advice from Wiki Mama for Ross Bergy about Thailand. Thailand's great. Just watch your drinks in places like Phuket or Chiang Mai. The people are so friendly. Correct. I've met Thai people are so friendly. Monaco F1 just finished. Watched under duress. Not one on-track overtake. Sadly impressive. Yeah, I know. But then Monaco's really hard. I've driven lumps of the track. So the road, I've driven in Monaco, right? Not a Formula 1 car. But I've driven in Monaco. The roads actually follow the track. So you can drive through the tunnel. And I've done all that sort of stuff. I've done a couple of cars. An Audi A3 with Paul Healy, if Paul Healy's watching. And I think myself and Paul Healy did it again in a Kia Rio. Or was it a Kia Carens or something? We're flying through. Comments are flying in related to Ford Focuses. Have you heard of any issues with the power shift transmission? No, and I have heard of issues with the DSG, which are the two transmissions that I would hold in highest regard. Ford's power shift transmission is incredible, really smooth, will carry a lot of torque, and they only have one, so there's only power shift. Whereas DSG isn't just DSG, there's a lot of automatics in the Volkswagen group. So no, I've not heard of any problems with power shift transmission. Doesn't mean there isn't any, just I haven't heard of them. Any advice on how to get Chia? What's Chia? Go again with that question, because I didn't miss it. Bob, you're missing the crack in Mondello. I was trying to be there yesterday, but a thunderstorm yesterday as I passed by Mondello, I think cancelled the whole thing. Today, I couldn't get up because I had tons of commitments yesterday. I had tickets and everything for yesterday to go with all the kids and all. So, sorry, I tried to go there, but I couldn't make it there today. Craig asked, do you think the DSG vehicle is reliable? I've had no trouble with DSG, but remember, I only drive a car that tends to be treated pretty hard, but is only on a fleet for about 6 months. I have heard of issues with DSG. They've all been corrected to the best of my knowledge, and now there seems to be none. So whatever was the problem, it's not out there right now. The only big problem I know of at the moment is some older BMWs. There's a recall on at the moment, I think, as far as I know. Any advice on how to get cheaper car insurance 22-year-old? Unfortunately, there is no way to get cheaper car insurance because there's a bloody monopoly in this country on car insurance. And car insurance companies are all in cahoots with one another to make sure the prices isn't too bad or too good. The best thing I can say to you is, number one, use the phone, lads. Don't be using price comparison sites or going online and clicking this and clicking that and thinking that that is the end of your solution. Oh my God, I'm priced out at $6,000. I did an experiment the other day where I went down to 4 insurance company websites. I filled in exactly the same details across the 4 company websites. I got 4 completely different prices. And when I phoned the 4 companies, I got 4 completely different prices again. So 8 prices from 4 companies. And it ended up that Allianz, I think, was the cheapest of the 4 with exactly the same cover across the range, fully comprehensive, including windscreen cover. Your quote is going to be different, but by far and away, calling the companies on the phone and going through the details with them was by far and away the cheapest quotes I got all along. So Insomniacs, make sure you use the phone, number 1. Tell them the truth, number 2, within reason. Tell them the truth, okay? Your job, your car, the age of your car, all contribute to the price that you're going to pay for insurance. And that is a problem. I freely admit that is a problem for some people, because young people starting out have to have an old car, and the older cars are penalised under insurance companies. Some insurance companies won't insure cars that are over 10 years old. Starting the Leave and Cert Wednesday week, any advice? I do have advice on this. Number 1, stay calm. It is definitely not the end of the world. The Leave and Cert is a tiny, tiny little thing that comes along that interrupts your life for a period of a couple of weeks. And then it is gone forever, and you're released into the world to go and do college and do your stuff. Life experience takes over then. The Leave and Cert is definitely not the be-all and end-all of any commitment you have in the whole world. So take your time, try and get where you can get to, do your best whenever you can, but once it's over and the door shuts and you've done what you can do, then you go ahead. Don't go out and get wasted drunk and you start sniffing glue or something. Just go and enjoy the rest of your life, because life is, there's this little bit that leads up to Leave and Cert, and then there's this massive chunk that happens after that. I'm 45, so at 45 years old I would have been considered a very old man at one point. Now I'm looking to live another 45 years. I could live to 90 easily, maybe even 100 if I keep going. So I could have 2 entire lifetimes. It's an incredible thing. So Leave and Cert, Sean, really easy thing. Just do your best. That's all you can possibly do. If you've done your best, you should be able to hold your head up high and walk out of that room as if you've just passed anyway. The results of that will bear no relation to what you do with the rest of your life. Footy says I should be studying for Leaving Cert right now. Nah, stick with the live stream. Don't forget to click the like button. There's 40 of you watching at this very moment. There's only 14 likes. So click the like button, everybody. That's one. And two, subscribe. Just click the subscribe button at the bottom. I get a lot of new subscribers lately. I passed 13 million something or other views the other day. If you can, there's a link in the comments below for patreon.com/the next gear. If you click that, give €2 a month, $2 a month, whatever is €10 a month, whatever you can. And it keeps the channel independent, because making videos, this video is not expensive, but every other video I do takes time. It takes 4 hours, 5 hours to make those videos. It's hard work. I do it all on my own. There's no one helping me with those videos. So it's not like I have a team of people running the next gear. It's just me. So anything you can give is always going to be good. But at the very least, click the subscribe button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you click the little bell beside the subscribe button, you also get a little notification on your phone whenever I do one of these live things, which is pretty cool. So you can be on the live thing every time. What running app do you use if you use one and starting to like Nike Run? I don't have it on, but I use a Garmin watch, which are very good and are now kind of cheaper than they used to be. Don't necessarily need the newest one. There's an older one called a 235, and Garmin 235. And that older one you should be able to get for less than 200 quid, easily less than 200 quid. It's able to do your heart rate, it does a map of GPS, it does everything for you. It tells you cadence and pace, and it can give you target paces, it can do swimming, it can do running, it can do all sorts of stuff with it. That's really worth it. But if you have to use the app, I tend to use Runkeeper. It's basic, it's free, it does everything you need it to do. Nike make a really good one as well, and there's another one that I used in the past, which is, it's the live one that all the lads use, all the running lads use, and you can share all of your runs on. It'll come to me as to what the name of that app is, but there's a few good apps out there. But if you're going to buy something, if you have a phone, Runkeeper is going to be fine. But if you're going to buy something, buy one of the Garmin watches, and don't buy an iPhone watch, iWatch, or any of them watches for keeping your running things on. They're useless at it. A Prius or a CT200H? A Prius. Don't CT200H. Unless there's a new one and it's brilliant, the older ones are crap. Bob, is your insurance video on the way you mentioned a few weeks ago? That's under research at the moment, because the way things are fluxing on insurance at the moment, it's like insurance going up, insurance going down, some prices are good, some prices are bad. It's very hard. There's no point in putting on a video right now if insurance is going to drop off a cliff next month or go up like a lunatic. It just won't make any sense. So it is on the way. I tell you what, also on the way, a tire video is also on the way, because I'm going with a tire company to Spain next week, and we're going to do some donuts on a track. So in high-powered vehicles, seemingly. I think they're bringing an Aston Martin, something or other, and a few others. And they're putting tires on just to show us what the tires are like. And then I'm going to a rock concert. I don't know what the rock concert is, but it seems to be good. I know Sleaford Mods are playing on it, which delights me hugely. Andrew Cummings, Bob, what do you see happening in Ireland regarding diesel in the future? Will they bring in new regulations to favour petrol? Any chance to get a grip and get rid of VRT? That's many pointed questions. So diesel, where's that going to go? Diesel and petrol, fossil fuels, are going to die a death over the next 8 to 10 years. There's a few reasons. One is we're running out of them. Two, it's very expensive. It's very, very expensive. To process raw oil into the fuel you burn is very expensive. 3, CO2 emissions, NOx emissions, and all the other crap that come out of the exhaust fumes of petrol and diesel cars, particularly diesel cars, is clogging up cities like London and Paris. You go to Paris on a wrong day and you can't see Paris when you're landing on a blue sky day, and you can't see it because of the smog hanging over the top of it. That's just diesel, really. So we have to get rid of diesel, and diesel will go in Ireland. If it goes across Europe and start to die off in Ireland as well, it'll be replaced by electric, it'll be replaced by hydrogen, it'll be replaced by hybrids. Petrol is now cleaner than diesel by a long way, and can be pushed to be even more clean because of electricity, and is lighter. The engines are lighter and stuff. So VRT in Ireland is, I would consider, a completely illegal tax. It is totally and utterly a falsehood of a thing, but it generates a massive amount of income for the government. And at the moment, if you take VRT away, the government just goes, well, what do we replace it with? So if we don't pay VRT, we'll pay some other kind of tax. And until we have a progressive government who can think longer than the next election, and this is the biggest problem we have, is that a government, when they get elected, start to think of the next election. And that's it. They don't think about you, me, 10 years from now. to think about the next election. So until we can get a progressive government who thinks in 3 or 4 elections' time, we'll never get rid of VRT. It'll always be stuck here. Don't forget to click that like button there, people. And the subscribe button. Subscribe, like. Bob, a 3-day-old Octavia and the start-stop won't engage. It worked for the first 2 days. Any thoughts? Surely the battery, not the battery in a new car. If it's a start-stop is an electronic system on a car. And I do find some of the cars I get here, the start-stop is quite random as to when it comes on and when it goes off. It depends on the electrical load of the car. So if you're on day 3 on a very hot evening, like it is right now, it's like 19 degrees out there right now, and I'm in a car with air conditioning, when I pull up to the traffic lights, the air conditioning is working quite hard to make the car the right temperature. And so it won't cut off the engine. If you turn off all of the electrical systems in a car, drive around for a bit, you're going to roast, but drive with the windows open, drive around for a bit and then let the clutch out and see if the start-stop system still works. If it doesn't work at that point, then there could be a problem with a fuse or some sort of a mixture system inside the car. Probably not something you can touch, but definitely try it with very little electrical load on the car. That's for Brian Cullen, by the way. Definitely try a little bit less electrical load on the car. I find that even the Skoda I have today wouldn't do the start-stop at the traffic lights because the air conditioning was on and blowing the head off us. Does penalty points affect your insurance at all, Bob? I got 3 for doing 107, 100 km/h on. Stupid. That is really stupid. You could appeal that one. 107, that'd be very, very hard to prove that your car, that you could be that accurate. It was only 7 km/h, right? That's like 3 miles per hour over the speed limit. That's incredible. You could debate that one. Ask a friendly guard. If you go to the guard station and go, I was only doing 107. If you haven't already accepted the points. If you've accepted the points and you go, okay, hands up in the air, no. 3 penalty points won't affect your insurance. 6 penalty points will, so you have to watch the next 3 penalty points you're going to get, right? But 3 penalty points will not affect your insurance. Shouldn't affect your insurance by any margin. But 107 km/h, 100, I bet that those vans just rip you off. Brian Cullen. Yes, points do affect your insurance. They can, Brian, but not the first 3. When you have 3, I wouldn't worry about it. I think the whole world has 3, right? But 3 penalty points, and it's 3 years, by the way, you're stuck with those penalty points. 3 points for 3 years. So be aware of that one. Hoping to get the new Karoq when it comes out. I do 12,000 kilometers per year. Would you recommend a new 1.5 TSI? Yes, I would. For 12,000 kilometers, that's like 8,000 miles. Buy a petrol. You could do an electric car. Why are you buying Karoq? Buy an electric car. By the way, Skoda is way behind the 8-ball on the electric car front. It's coming. The whole Volkswagen group is. They are coming. The electric cars are starting to come out. The Passat, the Golf. They're coming, but they're not quite here yet. Can a damaged wire loom cause a vehicle to shut off while driving or reversing? That is, yes. Wire looms, so anyone's not aware, all of the electric crap in your car, from the tail lights all the way forward to the headlights and all the heating systems and everything else, goes through what's called a wiring loom. It's a gigantic lump of wiring system where all the wires run through. If there's any damage in here at any point, things can happen around the car. I'm sure you've all driven behind some of the French cars. When he presses the brake pedal, the indicators come on. That's coming from a wiring connection somewhere that runs through the wiring loom. So yes, wiring loom is like saying, can my ears bleed because I got hit between the head? Yeah, it can. It hit up here and you make blood come out of your ears. So yeah, it can do. But if you're talking about when you put the car in reverse and you let the clutch out and you're starting to reverse, does the car cut out on you? That's possibly not a wiring loom. That doesn't sound like an electrical problem. I'll wait for the answer to that question, so remember that, right? So what happens when you press into reverse and the car starts to go backwards? I drive a VW Passat Blue Motion, start-stop on. It doesn't work if I do regular short journeys. Once longer journeys, it works grand. That's it. When it gets warm, the start-stop. It's very questionable how much fuel is saved by start-stop, by the way. I would suggest you'd need to have the car off for about 90 seconds to actually save any fuel at all. No problem. Great answer. No problem at all. Evan says, update from last week. Bought the Ford Focus Titanium Estate. Well done. Good choice. 1.5 diesel. It's now achieving 1,020 plus kilometers to empty. We're beyond impressed. Told you they were really fuel efficient. Massively fuel efficient cars. When you drive them fuel efficiently, they all are. But the Ford Focus Titanium Estate is a beautiful car. Really good car. Craig Ross. Hi, Bob. Why do you think the Skoda has been voted most reliable car brand and VW are doing poor when they're basically the same? So reliability, Craig, is a very strange thing. Reliability is a perception. I know guys who would tell you that their Toyota Corollas never let them down. I've had it for 10 years, never cost me anything. I've only had 2 shocks in the front and 2 shocks in the back and new brake disc in the front, and I had to change this part. That's their version of reliable, is all that stuff going. Other people's version of reliable is I turn the key and the car goes every single time. Some owners are more conscious than others. Skoda drivers perhaps are more conscious of service intervals, of service times, of going back, getting the car serviced in main dealers, which makes it more reliable by its very nature. So that's probably why Skoda's coming out on the top of the range. But it could be just that Skoda's not all built in the same line as Volkswagen, by the way. But it could be just that Skoda make very, very good cars, and they tend to do. So catch up again. What happens is somebody asks a question, a whole lot goes, and I lose the place where I was. Hi Bob, is there a sweet spot for how long you should keep a car before selling it on trading? If you're talking about how much money you depreciate by from new, the longer you hold on to the car, the less the depreciation becomes, although you still lose an awful lot of money. So I've had my car for 11 years. I can't remember how much it cost me originally. I forget, 20 something grand or something. I've had it brand new. I keep it now. It's probably worth 3 grand maybe to the right person. So that's it. That's probably the lowest it's ever going to be. Unless I wreck it somehow, that's probably the lowest it's going to ever be. Generally speaking, for PCP purposes, every 3 years, 3 to 5 years would be the limit that you'd ever hold onto a car anyway for most people, unless you're going to hold onto permanently like I do. So from a financial perspective, I'm definitely not the best person to ask when it comes to financial depreciation, because I don't really get involved in that. I get involved in the emotion of owning a car, or repairs or mechanical stuff. I can do mechanical stuff as well. By the way, I have ginger and lemon tea and it's really nice. On EVs, what do you think of the Chevy GM Bolt? I think they should hurry up and get the bloody thing out and sold. I think these ideas of generator systems are very, very good. Opel has one here as well. It's called, I forget what it's called. Drove it once internationally, never heard of it again. 4-seat thing, far too expensive, like 45 grand. But it's got like 3 engines, so it's got the electric power, it's got a generator thing, it's got a little petrol engine as well that charges the generator that gives electricity. Very clever system, but really expensive to make and sell and manufacture. And with our VRT in this bloody country drove us up the wall trying to get the price of it. So I think the generator system is probably part of the way forward. I think hybrids will get us there. Then the generator system might work in on it as well. We'll figure out ways of moving forward so we can hold on to it. Don't forget, this has happened before in history. We used to whip horses to death in the street. They'd die on the streets of London, the streets of Dublin, and they'd be taken to the knacker's yard, which is what they were called at the time, and cut up for dog meat. That's the way we used to treat horses. Now, you saw in a video the other day all these horses walking past me on the Curragh Plains, all worth millions of euro walking by me. So like that day is gone for horses. Now horses are the treasure trove. That's what will happen to our cars as well. A car will come along to save our cars, which will be hydrogen, or it'll be something that will come along. When we move to electric cars, how will the government screw us on tax then? They're already screwing us for electric cars because they charge, here in Ireland, they charge motor tax, road tax, CO2 emissions tax, whatever you want to call it, on electric cars here. And they give them no break at all. So if you're charging up electricity, you still have to pay for parking. It's stupid. So they're already screwing us. They're going to continue screwing us. Make me the Minister for Transport. I'll stop screwing us. I got an offer to buy a Volkswagen Passat CC 2012 with a 211 horsepower engine and a manual gearbox. The car has run 87,000 kilometers so far. Anything I should watch out for? The usual, that's for Michael, the usual stuff to watch out for in a Volkswagen, it is just basically a Passat underneath. The engine comes out of the Volkswagen Group engines. There's nothing really particular to watch out for. Just make sure the mileage is what they say it is. A lot of those cars end up as sales reps cars. And watch out for a leaky boot. Okay, so you get water running inside the boot. What happens is, because the boot shape, when you lift the boot lid and it's all wet, it just runs down inside the little drains, but often it runs straight into the boot. So open the boot and have a smell, because it'll stink when it heats up. Have a feel. Good tip for anybody buying any car anywhere is to have a feel of all the carpets, the footwell carpets, particularly passenger side footwell carpets, in around the door sills, underneath the carpets, underneath the back seats, in around the back seats and in the boot. If there's any sign of damp or wet, start asking questions and don't stop until you're happy with the answers, because The inside of a car should be bone dry. If it's even the smallest bit damp, lads, the smell will take your life on a Saturday morning. It'll kill you. So, and there's no way of getting rid of it. You have to find that leak. It's terrible. I must go and finish an essay. Well done, John. Go finish an essay. We'll listen back like a podcast. Gaurav Mahagut, John. Thank you very much. Brian Cullen. Speaking of same Skoda Octavia, it's my friend's. The 1 litre 115 brake horsepower petrol engine is amazing. It is actually. It's very, very good. Change 1.6 diesel petrol feels like a zippy. It is because there's a big turbo in it. It's very, very clever. 1 litre petrol engine, I think it's actually really nice. It's a cruisy feel of a drive. 115 brake horsepower is fine. My only question for any of these smaller petrol engines is that the turbo tolerance, like there's a little turbo in there, and it's absolutely murdering itself to go around all the time. You just wonder, in 5 or 10 years' time, how many turbos would you have changed in those kind of cars, those little cars? But, you know, that's what engineering is all about. That's why the engineers get paid an awful lot more money than I do. Jason, thanks Bob for the answer. That's exactly what happens when you engage the clutch, it shuts off. So this is the reversing question. So when you put into reverse, your reverse lights come on, your reversing camera all comes on, all goes well. When you reverse out and you let the clutch out and you engage the bike, the engine cuts off. That sounds like not an electrical problem. That sounds like not enough fuel getting to the. That sounds more like a fuel issue. Does it tick over nice? Is it ticking over absolutely rock solid at like 800 RPM? Never varies up, down, nothing. Just sits there. We just let it tick over and gets warm. Or does it go blah, 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 blah? That would be fuel. What's my favourite car? 2 questions. And what's the best car for value? Depends on your country, the best car for value. My favourite car... my favourite car at the moment. There's so many favourite cars. There's so many favourite cars. It's very hard to say which one's a favourite car. I'll come back to that question. Can you buy and sell cars, say, on Done Deal, or do you need a license? So you can buy and sell cars all you want on Done Deal. There's no license required. The only thing would be, if you're selling like 5 cars a month, well, then you're a business. That'd be like a revenue issue rather than anything else. But no, there's no restrictions to selling a car on Done Deal. You don't need a license to sell cars. It can be a very expensive business, and all it takes is one car, one dud car, and you have owners back at your house going, "Hey, you bought the car from you, and I want the money back." By the way, you can't get your money back on a sale. When you sell a used item like a car to somebody, it's buyer beware. There's no comebacks to the sellers, unless you knowingly sold them a dud. Where do you see hydrogen fitting in the future of motoring? If we can find a way to make hydrogen a bit cheaper, and if the petroleum companies would invest a bit of money in hydrogen and really invest a bit of money in hydrogen, hydrogen just take over from petrol. It's going to just replace it completely. It's definitely a large part of the future if we can make it cheap enough. The problem is it's very expensive. Pulling those little bits of atoms away to turn it into hydrogen, that's really expensive. But hopefully that will be our future. Watch out for the dual mass flywheel prone to premature failure on Passats, etc. Cost me €1,500. Bloody hell, dual mass flywheel. Okay, so there you go. Just ask for your Passat CC or Passat or Volkswagen engines. There's a piece of advice from Sean. Watch out for a dual mass flywheel. That's not something you're going to be able to change yourself either. Hey Bob, suggestion for a video one day. Bob's guide to buying a used car. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one actually. Yeah. Because I've bought so many used cars and sold so many used cars. You get used to it. You get used to getting all the advice and all that stuff together. Tim Robbins. Any view on the Lexus GS 450h F Sport debating on buying a 2016 or £23,000? Is that the F Sport with the 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer? That's very good. That's a great car. That was good fun to drive, that one. The only view I'd have is Lexus makes some really good, underrated petrol hybrid powered cars. They really do. They really make good cars. The problem that Lexus had, the big one I remember, was in sport mode, it plays a track through the speaker. So when you floor it, you can hear the track coming through the speaker and you can hear the engine, and they're not quite synced up. And that's a problem. It upsets your brain straight away when you do that. But GS 450h, yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's the F Sport one with the 4-wheel steering, which I remember being very sharp. So the new Soul came to Greece. The new Rio is coming next month, and the Picanto next month. Nice to see the situation with Kia and Hyundai in Greece getting sorted. What do you say about them? I have a preference particularly for Kia. I don't know why. There's no particular reasons why that is. I like Kia, but I like Hyundai's current design. They're really sharp stuff. I don't mind either company. They got plenty of money, so there should be no problem with them coming to Greece for that matter. Anyone else have a picture freezing now? I don't, anyway, Brian. Yes, picture freezing. Okay, I'm not seeing any messages on the screen saying it's poor connection or any of that sort of stuff. It's solid as a rock. Hey man, like your videos? Thanks. What's your opinion on the Aventador? I mean, I'll never buy one. No one I know will probably ever buy one. So I don't really have an opinion on it. Other than it's lovely, it looks nice, looks all right. Thoughts on the Golf R? I have the Golf R in 2 weeks, I think, the newer one. Golf R is fantastic. It has to be, because if it's not, the Ford Focus RS will kill it. Because the Ford Focus RS is one of my favorite car of all time. Hi Bob, how good do you think the new VW Up GTI will be? That's a really good question. Do you know, TST space S? That's a really good question. So the VW Up is coming in a GTI form, which I believe is going to be 115 brake horsepower, possibly 120, or maybe 110. I'm not too sure to decide yet. Looks deadly. The big problem is the GTI Golf has different shocks and brakes and things, you know, lots of little tweaks over a Golf, and the Golf R has even more tweaks than the GTI. So if the Up is just extra horsepower in and up with a different spec on it, then I'm not too sure we're going to like it all that much. But if the Up GTI is a proper like suspension lowered and the whole lot done, then we're going to have an epic car. And I would buy it in a heartbeat without a shadow of a doubt. Picture's back now, right? Exit and rejoin. Okay, Stuart, yeah. Exit and rejoin if you're having a problem, seemingly. No, I've only seen it from 2 people. Can you say Charlemagne the snippy snappy crocodile? Yes, I can. Is I supposed to say that? Charlemagne the snippy snappy crocodile. I'm going to end up as a meme now on Reddit. Is that what that is? Charlemagne the snippy snappy crocodile. Right. 34 of you here, 39 likes. Thank you very much. If you haven't clicked the like button already, click it now. Click, no problem, Mr. X. Click the subscribe button if you can toll manage it. That's totally free. I would need more subscribers, please. Tech Joshi, please shout out. There you go, Tech Joshi. You're shouted out too. And if you wouldn't really mind, you could click a little link in the comments below. So if you click on the little show more button, you'll see in there's a thing called patreon.com/the next gear, which supports the freedom of this channel, which means I can talk to you about cars any way I like, because then that's just that simple. You can just do whatever you want. So if you can give any money, that's totally optional, right? So if you can give any money towards the Patreon thing, it'd be brilliant. Also, you'll find if you click the show more thing, I've listed out a list of things that I get asked for quite often about cameras and about kit and equipment and stuff I use for filming and stuff. You'll see a list of all the things, the best stuff you can buy that I can think of for making a YouTube channel or for starting a car YouTube channel, particularly like clamps and all that stuff that I use. And at the bottom of that, there's a little address if you want to send me something. You can see the address there for posting me things, because people keep asking me to post me things. I don't know what people are posting me, but you know, don't send me poo in a bag or any of that sort of stuff. Don't spam either Ling Lang Resorts Thailand, but I've said your name now, Ling Lang Resorts Thailand. Hello. Fastest speed you've driven? I don't know, it was on a racetrack, I can't remember. Very fast. Portimao racetrack, probably along the straight at Portimao, where that you come down off a hill and go around this very long right-hander onto a straight. I definitely went over 200 kilometers an hour there, way over it. I was in a BMW M3 or M4 or something with Chris Harris behind me. I did race Chris Harris once. But anyway, I won't mention that because it nearly ended up in a roof. I also drove on the Circuit of the Americas racetrack, but that wasn't a very fast car. It was a BMW X6M. That's got a really long straight as well. Pretty cool. Any thoughts on a Smart Roadster? You mean the older one? They're a great car. Great car. A tiny bloody engine and like really bad CO2 and stuff at the moment. But really good cars. There's no problem with them. HP or PCP? Neither, Brendan. Buy it for cash. PCP is the best option for the consumer than HP. A car-tailored bank loan is the best option if you can possibly manage it, because it's tailored towards cars and you're the customer. They just want to lend you money. The car company has nothing at the other end of it, right? The problem with PCP is that you pay a big lump sum going in and you pay a big lump sum going out, right? Or you hand the car back. That's the only real benefit to you, by the way. Or you might get 0% finance, or, you know, there's other optional benefits to it. But just taking plain straight up and down, Hire purchase is the same. The balloon payment happens at the end as well. Balloon payment happens at the front. But the car is never yours in a hire purchase until you make the balloon payments. You can't hand it back. You're forever stuck with that one. A bank loan from a bank is actually probably the best consumer friendly one, or from a credit union or something is the best one. But buying for cash, nothing beats the cash buys. That's the way you should have it. Bob, a lot of people in here, I hope you realize you have the dream job. Well, if you can call it a job, Brian, yeah. Getting to drive all these brand new cars, though I know it's very hard work with probably not that much reward. There's no reward whatsoever, Brian. Most car journalists, motor journalists in the world are employed as like a sports reporter or a news editor or something. They have a normal job within the newspaper, and they happen to do cars. Car reviews and travel writers and food writers were always seen as the kind of plum jobs within a newspaper. So they were like the bonus jobs. You did a really good job at something and you got one of those jobs to do, whichever one suited you. Now the nature of car reviews has changed to some degree. So a lot of people work for, like if you're in the UK, you work for some of the big magazines, like Auto Express or someone, and you actually work directly for them, and that's your job. But that's a very tentative place to be. It's really that knife edge stuff, because there's so many new guys coming through that these guys have to be like Swiss Army knives the whole time. They need to be able to do video, photograph, write well, perfect grammar, perfect this, perfect that, because it just be replaced. Blink of an eye. It's harder here in Ireland because you already need access to the cars to be able to review the cars. That's a little bit more difficult here in Ireland because it's a smaller market and harder to get going in. Ling Lang Resorts, Thailand. Could you please not keep asking all the questions? Okay, just ask one thing. One thing. That's it. Go back. Right, okay. Super Chat. Super Chat is not available in Ireland. That's people being able to give money just by clicking the Super Chat button. It's not available in Ireland because YouTube are a lazy shower and they won't get off their ass to do it here, even though their headquarters are right here in Dublin. Remember Jason Daw? I certainly do. Jason Daw is still on the go. Jason still does used cars quite a bit. I think he owns a company that imports used cars from somewhere, as far as I know. But he was on season 1 of Top Gear. He only survived the one single season, was replaced, not really replaced, but kind of replaced by James May. How old are you? 45. Ancient. 64 Impala. I don't know what that means, but that's a car, 64 Impala. Really cool car, V8 engine. Only like 180 brake horsepower, as far as I remember, from the Impala. But it's, look, even the name, Chevy Impala, is just cool. I'm going to, look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I see you there now. I'm just going to block you because I don't understand what you're asking me. Thanks for your answer. I never thought of that. I have spent lots of money trying to fix the problem. Change computer, fuse box, solenoid, transmission, mass airflow sensor, Nissan Note. Grant. I hope it works for you. What is your top favorite car? That's impossible to say at the moment. So many good cars, like the Alfa Romeo. Yeah, would I go with Alfa Romeo? That's hard to explain now why I wouldn't go with Alfa Romeo. But there's a lot of cars around the moment. BMW 640D is still there. California is still there. What else are we looking at the moment? A Skoda Octavia VRS would be right up there. A Ford Focus RS would be right up there as well. There's a lot of good cars around at the moment, a hell of a lot. And it needs to be because the market is very narrow these days. Done a bit of research on the RX-8, good rotary engines, like it. I have a few saved on Dundeel and other car websites around $4,000 for Apex seals. Do you reckon any specific rotary issues? The biggest problem, Brian, with rotary issues is the bloody car blows up, right? I know guys who are replacing engines there once or twice a year. The engines are getting harder and harder to get. The parts that are required to run are getting harder to get. It's so finicky on oil as well. It has to be a very specific oil that runs it. But the drive is brilliant. The RPMs are fantastic. I know some good stories of Mazda RX-8s out there that just last forever and never go wrong. But then I know the opposite of that story as well. There's no specific thing to look out for. You're buying a Mazda. The usual Mazda things apply. Look out for a slippy clutch. Look out for a gearbox that knocks out a third gear when you're accelerating hard. You'll see a gear stick. When you accelerate hard, you see a gear stick move a little bit. It should move but stay in gear, right? If the gate isn't shut behind it, it won't stay in gear. It'll pop out again. So that would be the main one. But other than that, no, there should be no problem with them. I'm not losing. Someone asked a question last week. I agree, Bob. If it's up to GTI done right, it'd be a large queue around the dealership. I'm telling you, yeah, the up is going to be brilliant if it's done as a proper GTI and not done as just an up with more horsepower. There's already 100 horsepower, 90 horsepower GT up on the fleet as far as I know. We've done this. My name is Chef. We've already done this. Charlemagne, Snippy, Snappy, Crocodile. We've done that. We've done that. Have you heard of the Yokozai watch? No. Have I? No. Doesn't ring a bell. Yokai watch. Didn't I do a watch review? There was some weird ass watch. It wasn't Yokai though. Talk about the Kajar compared to the Kuga. Kuga is the only one you need to worry about there. Kajar, no. Kajar's great space. Tons of space in the cabin. They're really big inside. They've got good engines. They've got everything right, but just something doesn't quite click with me with the Kajar thing. The Kuga's nice. Now to get rid of that sort of a dent thing out of the bonnet, it's lovely. The Kuga's really good. Very handsome car. A lot more expensive than the Kajar. The Kajar would be a lot better value. It's a hard one. Hello, Daza. How are you doing? Hi, Henry Patterson. For fuck, what's going on with the Charlemagne, the Snippy Snappy Croc? What's that about? Everybody keeps asking that one. Can you say Kilani? Good afternoon from the UK. Hello, David. How are you? Do you know where the Killakee House is in Ireland? Killakee House. Sounds familiar. I don't know where it is right off the top of my head, but I probably could find it. Yeah, I'm an Australian, Connor. Yeah. Totally, mate. Totally. Hi, Bob. What's your review of the Civic? Don't think you like it one bit. Why was that, Bob? I was thinking of getting a 1.5. Also, the MPG, like, nude. It's not that I don't like the Civic. It just doesn't work in a lot of colours. The colour I had particularly has the black nose and the white on the exterior. It looks weird. I had a CVT gearbox one as well, which is like dull, weird, dull stuff. It's just a very strange mix. I drove the 1 litre and I quite liked that one. And so does everybody else seemingly. So 1 litre in a manual version seems like a bit of okay, and the 1.5 seems very dull in comparison. So it's not that I don't like the Civic, it's that I think they've gone too far. There's no evolution, there's no kind of, well, we had a Civic and it was pretty good, and now we have one that's not good. They got rid of the magic seat, they got rid of the magic boot, they got rid of all the things that made it interesting as a car, and now it's just competing directly with a VW Golf. Henry Patterson, Black Cat before the ears. My name is Chef is going to end up getting banned, and you know you will if you keep going. I'll just tell you. Bob, does the world really need 50 plus car manufacturers? Do you see auto manufacturers consolidation over the next 10 to 20 years? There isn't 50 plus manufacturers. There is a group of about 8 or 10 car manufacturers that own everybody. And that's it. So when you think of the Volkswagen Group, is an easy one to point out, because when you go along to their Volkswagen Group night at the Geneva Motor Show and they show you all the brands they do up on the screen, you kind of go, holy moly, they do everything from cars to motorbikes. So there isn't that many. There will be a consolidation. There will eventually only be 1 or 2 car manufacturers. The world, no, we don't need 50. But at the same time, there was a point in history where, like in the UK, they used to make cars in a shed, and it was brilliant. Can I have a shout out? It's my birthday. Well done. Happy birthday, VedB. We should have a better username. Could not be called like Jimmy or something. No? What was your first job? I used to deliver post at night time. Not post. It was SDS at the time, a special delivery service. I was like a courier at night time. I think I was 15, I think. And we used to start at 7 o'clock at night in Kildare town and drive all the way to Boyle in County Roscommon, delivering SDS stuff along the way. And I got paid £10 a night for it. And it was a great job, brilliant job. I wasn't finished at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I earned £30 a week. It was only 3 nights a week. £30 a week is more money than anyone else had that I knew. It was great. But I loved it. That was my very first job as far as I remember. I think I did some potato picking earlier. That may have been actually my first job. Sound as a bell. Heard some horrors, all right. Yep, you sure did, Brian, I bet you. Yokai Watch is an anime. Are you Australian? That's the second time I'm that. No, I'm not Australian. I'm Irish. Killakee House. Okay, Hangouts. My name is Chef. Right, you go hang out together and then we'll come back later on. Have you met Steve Irwin before he died? I'm not Australian. That's the most random question ever. No, I didn't. I never met Steve Irwin. I'm thinking of buying a Seat Leon FR. What do you think about it? I think the FR is a really good car, but the Cupra is a better car, head and shoulders. But I know if you're going to buy an FR, you might be buying a diesel one, which is okay. Killakee House is near me in Rathfarnham. Talk to Brian Cullen. He's near Killakee House, whoever's asking about Brian Cullen. Is it haunted? Is Killikee House on? No way. Let's wander up to Killikee House and bring a camera. I know where there's an abandoned place around here that I could bring a camera and stick. Would you be interested in seeing an abandoned video, abandoned house thing, kind of a house? Killikee is a gentlemanly resale value, Carrock or Ateca. Don't know. We don't know. That'd be impossible to tell at the moment. It depends how popular they're both going to be. Carrock is probably going to hold its value a little bit better because it's a Skoda. Say it tends not to hold its value so well, not quite. Bob, please block this people. We don't have something smart to ask. I don't want to block any. I hate blocking people. Some people just get caught up in their own little world. Worst car I've ever driven: Nissan Tida. No, Nissan Cube. Possibly. That was probably the worst car I've ever driven. Nissan Tida wouldn't be far behind it. That's probably just visually, I can't stand the look of the thing. Who else made a a Hyundai Pony. I drove a Hyundai Pony one time and I would rather walk barefoot across coals than drive one again. So just remember that. Oh, God almighty. My block. Right, my name is Chef. You're blocked. Goodbye. Connor. I don't know why you keep asking about Steve Irwin. We'll touch about this already. Bob, Toyota Corolla, very popular in Ireland. Is it not available in the UK? Okay, so why? UK buys hatchbacks. That's what they do, right? It's always been the same. Ourselves and China buy saloons. Don't ask me why China does it, but us and China do it. We tend to buy a lot of bigger the car, the more luxurious it is or something. So Toyota Corolla tends to come out here. Plus the Corolla here was an incredibly popular car compared to the UK where they could change the name easily to ours and just forget Corolla ever existed. Corolla here was very, very, very popular. So it alienated a lot of people very quickly. Do the abandoned house video. I actually have to sneak into my house. Like, it's a properly abandoned mill or something at one point or another. But it's curious. I drive by it quite regularly and I keep looking outside the road and I see a way in at the moment. So I'm fascinated by abandoned places. I would absolutely love to visit Chernobyl in the Ukraine, or just north of Ukraine. I'd love to go there. But I'm fascinated by abandoned places. Yeah, the Auris is here as well, David Thompson. And the Corolla is here as well. So the Corolla and the Auris is the same car in the UK, but not here. Bob, how about getting Kirsten O'Sullivan back, XTV3 car show, or Rosanna do a car with you? Yeah, I know Kirstine. I've dealt with Kirstine a good few times. We met a few times over the years at various shows and things. She's on maternity leave as far as I know. I think she's coming back on TV, Kirstine. Rosanna, I don't think knows anything about cars, but she's very pretty. I'll say that, but I don't think she knows anything about cars. But Kirstine knows a good bit about cars. Who's answering questions? Are you answering questions? Yeah, well, that's why it says Q&A there, Rob, you know. Would you buy a BRZ Subaru? Yes, I certainly would. BRZ Subaru is the same as a Toyota GT86. BRZ was actually built first. The GT86 is just a shell or the BRZ. So it's a great car, yeah. Absolutely brilliant car. Good crack. I think they're up in the horsepower on it soon. Have modern regulations ruined car design? Compare modern Citroens to the old DS models. We couldn't keep making those kind of crazy shaped cars as it was. But things like if you want to pass... So why don't Ferrari put cars into the crash test system like everyone else does, right? Number one, the crash test system has to actually buy the car to crash it, right? So they tend not to do that. But number two, because they couldn't pass it. It would be an impossibility. If you just take one thing... Hitting a pedestrian, you are supposed to hit them between the hip and the knee, right? So that's in the thigh area. Now that means the height of your bonnet, the height of the nose of the car is immediately foretold by NCAP. When you hit them in the hip, they're not allowed to hit the windscreen because the windscreen is a very, very hard point. If their head hits the windscreen, they're dead. If their head hits the bonnet, they'll bounce, right? So they survive. And so the length of the bonnet is also donated by cars. So if you line up a pile of cars all standing beside one another, even if they're all different brands, they all tend to be around the same height with the same length bonnet if they've got 5 stars in the NCAP. And so weirdly, the NCAP rating has donated some points of car design currently. Thoughts on the Jeep Renegade? It doesn't seem to have anything good at anything, but still like it. I kind of like Jeep. I kind of like Jeep in general. Renegade wouldn't be my favourite thing, but it's not a bad looking yoke. What's the other Jeep? The smaller Jeep is a lovely thing. It's based on the Fiat 500X. It's called a Jeep. Can't remember, but it's really, really nice. Look up Fiat 500X Jeep version and you'll see what it is. Just a quick word, click the like button. We're keeping the likes with the numbers. Click the like button. Click the subscribe button underneath the messages here to keep this channel, keep it going. I want to keep the subscribers going that way, please. And if you can spare a few euro every single month, if you go over to patreon.com/the next gear, it's in the comments below, the link is there. Click on that and head over there and give whatever you can. It's totally optional, but it'd be lovely if you could. I'm trying to get a drone so I can do some drone shots, which would be really good. I'd like to get the DJI Mavic Pro, which would be really nice. It's about €1,600, it ain't cheap. But at the same time, it would be really nice to do drone shots of the cars driving, and even overhead shots of what the cars look like from above and stuff. So that's what that's going to go towards. If you can possibly do that. If not, if you click the show more in the comments, you'll actually see a list of all the kit and equipment that I use when I'm making films, and when I'm doing the movies and when I'm doing different things. And all the stuff is in there, so I think all the stuff. Any requests, I can add to that list anyway. And at the bottom, there's a little address, so you can send me things should you want to. But don't forget to subscribe. I'm also on Snapchat, although I think Snapchat's dying a death slowly. I'm on Instagram as the next gear. Or am I Bob Flavin? I forget. I'm one or the other on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, if you want to get me there as well. I don't use Twitter all that much anymore. And I'm also on Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook. I hate Facebook. It's a shithole. The Hyundai Pony couldn't. He worst riding Atos. Hyundai Atos, true, yeah, that's a terrible car as well. Dismal little communist country weirdness is what they are. For the abandoned house, then you won't be the Hellfire Club. Yeah, I won't make it the Hellfire Club, but I will certainly have a look at this abandoned house nearby. Please say my name. I can't even pronounce that. Are you joking me? I'll give it a shot though for the crack. Devanish Shirastava. There you go. Now said your name. Done. Mate in the UK lost 18 grand on his Jeep Renegade. Did he? Really? Bad choice then. You learn from your mistakes, boys. Evil Smurf, are you aware of the rapid increase in keyless car thefts? Thieves are cloning the fob in your house. I don't believe you, is number one. Look at, if I was in the newspaper business, the very first thing I'd do is look at the very first instance I could find of someone cloning a key, and I go, oh my God, this is rife in the world. Be afraid of everybody. Nah, don't mind that. Yeah, look, people used to steal your key, used to kick in your door and steal your key off the shelf before they could clone the key, right? Now they can clone the key, they don't need to kick in your door. That's a bonus. That's what you've got insurance for. If your car gets stolen, let it go. Put it in a balloon and let it go. Ring up your insurance company, go, someone stole my car, pay me money. It'll interfere with your laughter for a little bit, but other than that, you will be absolutely fine. Don't worry about the keyless car theft thing. That's just inflammatory codology. That's not happening every day. 99% of the world is totally safe to be in. It is, Sean, totally the worst car ever built, but it was on sale here in Ireland. I remember them here clearly. My brother has a Corolla and will be buying a new car next year. Good luck with that one. His shortlist is another Corolla. Why would you trade a Corolla for a Corolla? I know. Or a Skoda Octavia. Skoda Octavia. That's what I recommend. There you go. Never buy the same car twice. I'll never buy another Seat Leon. Even though it's been absolutely fantastic for 11 years, very little has gone wrong for the whole time. And no, I'd never buy another one though. He swapped his Jeep for a Ford Kuga. Right. See, I can delete you very fast. New DJI drone coming. I seen it, Dave. Yeah, I know there's a new DJI, but the Mavic Pro ticks all of the boxes. That exactly what I'm looking for. It's the right size. It's mobile. It's agile. It's got good. It's got good software attached to it. It's stable in the wind as well. The smaller DJI ones that's coming out right now is tiny. The camera's not very good on it. Well, I don't think they're very good on it. But it ticks all about. You gotta get into the market of them at some point. That's the big problem. Is at some point you gotta take a plunge. You can't just wait for the next one to come, the next one to come, the next one to come. You'll never buy any of them. I intend to buy one and just buy it and that's done. Like I did with the Canon 60D, which I still use. It's 5 years old at this stage, and I still get buttery smooth 1080p from it every single time. And I'm not upgrading every 5 minutes. So, drone would be lovely to get. I wouldn't mind getting a Canon. Maybe I wouldn't know if I'd go for Canon again because they're still missing the 4K aspect of stuff as well. But I wouldn't mind going 4K with a Canon or with a camera in the future. Really missed the Q&A last few weeks. No problem. It's back now this weekend at least. David Thompson, look for YouTube MKBHD and Casey Neistat. I know the two of them actually. I do follow Casey Neistat quite well. I'm not looking to make Casey Neistat videos, but it's along that way. And MKBHD, I know that guy. He does tech reviews. Now, when he says tech reviews, I always question the word review, whether they actually review these things or they're just yes men because they get these things early. Hey Bob, sorry I'm late. I was doing a laps of the ring in a Veyron Gran Turismo. Jeez, Jamie, that'd be some crack to do that by. Although I'd suggest that the Veyron would be rubbish at the ring. On the straights it'd be deadly, but the corners are rubbish because that thing is just so heavy in the corners of Veyron. They're really heavy, hard, beautiful, beautiful cars. Such a noise inside them, but they're really heavy. They're not a handling car at all. Some analysts are predicting legacy car companies in the US and Euro will be toast, replaced by not only electric but new technology car calls over the next 20 years. Your thoughts? Yeah, they're gone. They're already walking wounded. Here's my predictions, and I've written this down. I've written articles. I've gone on radio talking about this. I've gone on YouTube here talking about this. Here's where it's going to be. 8 to 10 years, we won't have diesel or petrol. No more diesel or petrol engines will be built. Right? That's a way of putting it. It's the easy way of putting it. So they're not going to make more diesel or petrol engines in 8 to 10 years. In 8 to 10 years, you will no longer drive on a motorway. In 15 years, you will require a special license to take your petrol-engined car on roads that aren't motorways, right? You have to pass a special test to do that because all the other cars will be automated. In less than 10 years, there will be no truck driving jobs. Zero. They just won't exist. The truck drivers are gone. They are the walking dead already. I guarantee it. I've driven the Volvos. I've seen the things do their stuff. That's gone. So 10 years from now, there won't be a job as a truck driver. It just won't exist anymore. There will be shunting jobs in a city, in a town, small movement jobs. But motorway stuff, driving from Frankfurt to London or something, that's just not going to exist anymore. That's gone already. Taxi drivers are gone. Lewis drivers are gone. Train drivers are gone. Airplane pilots will be gone in the next 20 years without it. They'd be gone already, only we feel more secure when there's a pilot up there. Within 20 years, then we just won't drive cars. There'll be special roads where you can drive cars that aren't automated cars. Sorry if I just blocked someone there. Now, we'll reverse back up. So there we go. That's where, within 20 years, car companies are dead anyway. Bob sings Frozen. Let it go. Yes, exactly. That's my method for basically everything. Whenever you are messed over by somebody and you're sitting at home going, oh, I wish I'd have said that. I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done something else. And I stand in the shower for the next 20 minutes and have the argument I should have had when I was talking to a person and I couldn't think of what to say. Now I can think of all the smart ass things to say right here in the shower. When that happens to you, think of a little Frozen song and a balloon. You put all your stuff in that little balloon and you go, let it go, and it just goes and it's gone and you forget about it. Don't forget to click that like button and the subscribe button, please. Why are messages in italics? I haven't a clue. Don't know. They're not in italic on my screen. Hi Bob, DJI Spark coming soon. Very small, around €600. Yeah, the Spark has a crap camera compared to the one I'm looking at, which is the Mavic Pro. I need something stable. I need something that can fly in a little bit of wind. That Spark looks good, but it's so small and the footage is very grainy and nighttime footage is going to be rubbish on it as well. Did you notice the difference in cars in Sweden compared to Ireland? Not really, funny enough, Anton. There's a lot more Volvos. There's a lot of BMWs in Sweden. But there wasn't, other than I've seen a few Dodge Rams and stuff, these kind of big V8 things. But I find those Nordic countries like that. Go to Amsterdam, get a taxi, and you might end up in a V8 Chevy Blazer or something. It's weird. But other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot of difference between Sweden and here. A couple of nice classic cars on the road over there. So, hi Bud. Hi Craig. When talking about PCP, does the deposit come from your trade-in or from your pocket? The first time you enter into PCP, it can come from your car, the car you've got that you're trading in, or a combination of car and deposit in cash. Best way is obviously cash because then it's gone. And the final payment has to be cash. Right? If you want to buy the car out and it's finished, it has to be cash. You can't trade it in another one. You have to complete one PCP cycle to get into the next cycle. And we are literally only getting to the point where people are actually coming out of PCPs. And I've heard a lot of bad stories and good stories, pretty much equally. Message retracted. Are you Dennis O'Brien? No. Not sure how we're going to charge all these electric cars overnight. It's very easy. We have redundancy on electric right now, Harold. Don't let anyone tell you any different. We can generate way more electricity than we're generating right now. The generation companies tend to keep about 15% to 20% in reserve for any particular time, and at its peak, that goes down to about 5% of reserve. 5% is plenty. If you have 5% in your phone, you can still make plenty of phone calls, right? So 5% of reserve of the national grid able to run will have no problem charging electricity. And the more demand, the more power stations they put in. Nuclear power stations are very safe. Hydro power stations are really good. Wind power stations are even better. It's happening all the time. It's going to continue to happen. We need to get off fossil fuels and we need to get away from burning turf, unlike our Board Namona in this country who burns turf and coal still. Bob, I think you're harsh on this Antida. Not harsh enough. If I had a sledgehammer, I would sledgehammer one outside the front door. No problem. I know designers must have been blindfolded. Sure, it's a reliable, spacious, comfortable car. It's probably reliable. It's probably spacious. And compared to a tank, it's probably comfortable. But at the same time, it's still a horrid lump of crap. And I'd hate the thing. And it's nothing to do with Nissan. The reason this Antida existed here, so there's a story behind that as well. Nissan stopped making the Almera and the Primera and all that, but still needed a saloon car to sell. And the Tida, which was invented to supply the Tida to the Indian market, not Ireland, they went, okay, so we'll try the Tida in temporarily and see how we get on with it, right? And then farmers started to buy it. That's how we end up with Tida on the road. But it was never designed for this country. It was designed for India, and that was it. Sorry, just got a low power warning there a second ago, so I'm going to plug in my power supply unit into the phone and see does it actually work. My phone has given me jip lately because it's literally not taking the Diddy when it comes to getting charged. See what happens now though. All right, we got lights on. We're good. All right. Might stop as well doing the C plus E bloody thing costing me a fortune. What's C plus E, Brian? I think every car is going to the gas station at the same time. I think every car is going to the gas station at the same time. No, that happens. Don't worry. Look, if every car went to the petrol stations here in Ireland, they could do 8 cars at a time until the tank's empty. That's it. And after that, they just get more fuel and keep going. It's exactly the same for electric cars. Jamie retracted a message as well. There's another Dennis O'Brien moment. Not sure about the trucks. The question is insurance. If a machine decides whether it crashes into another truck, it's two people versus. This argument doesn't hold water. A machine doesn't decide anything. A machine makes a calculation. Can it or won't it fit? You do exactly the same thing. Humans do the same thing. If you were going on a road and you had to jam on the brakes and skid, and there's a child over there, and then skid to, and there's it doesn't make any sense. It just happens. Crashes happen. No computer's going to decide whether to kill you. You know, that's the last of your worries. The biggest worry you have right now is humans flying little drones that carry missiles over your head. They're much more worrying to me because if they ever make them automated, we're all dead. Bob, if you ever have not flown a drone before, start with a cheap one and learn because I've flown helicopters and real helicopters and airplanes and drones, all of them things. So I'm okay with that. But I'll take my time. There's no problem. I'll take my time. I'll get it right. If price is not an issue, which car would you buy on your favourite car? If price was no issue, I would buy a 640 diesel Grand Coupe. Hi, Henry Patterson. Fucking lads, I don't know what's going on with the Charlemagne thingamajig. I've done this a million times, and you're banned as well. So keep making your accounts, and I'll keep banning you. We'll just keep that up for hours, and I don't know why you just can't be here for the crack, right? Can you recommend a good hybrid car? Yes, a Toyota Prius, 100%. Great car, 70 miles to the gallon, really comfortable, quiet in the cabin. Weird looking on the outside, I get it, but it doesn't matter. It's a great car. Volvo 850. That's a great car. Volvo 850 is a great car. If the Lewis disappeared along with the overpaid operators, the city would be beautiful and complete. Mad. The Lewis is okay. I can live with the Lewis. It goes through some really stupid spots, and it should have been joined up at the beginning. It'd be fine. Dublin used to have a tram system. My mother remembers the tram, or would used to remember, she's dead now, but she used to remember the tram in Dublin. And I have seen photographs of the tram passing through Dublin. So there was always a tram there. They took it out in the 80s in preference of the cars. It's going back towards
tram again now. But the Lewis is a victim of his own success. And look, I have no problem with a Lewis operator getting paid 50 grand a year. If that was his negotiation, it's a private operation. It's not my problem. I'd love to be a Lewis driver. You're just all jealous. You just want that job as a Lewis driver. I'd love to get paid 50 grand a year to drive a Lewis around the city. Oh, it's a great job. Sure, why wouldn't you? Lexus CT200H might be a good second-hand buy. No, it's not. Tida is being discontinued. Oh, thank God. This is the end of the Tida. It's the last one I have seen on the road. Now all I have to do is find a way to burn them all. Hi, Bob. Enjoy your videos from Yorkshire. Well done. I've been in Yorkshire. It's a lovely part of the country. I've been in Yorkshire many times driving cars. Any more Seat reviews? In the new Seat Ibiza is out soon, and the Seat Leon FR2. Once they're on the fleet, I'll drive them. They're just not on the fleet at the moment, or at least I haven't seen them. I have an iPhone 6, and the iPhone 6 will do me until it burns or until it falls apart, and then I'll buy a Google phone or something. I'll get away from Apple again. I'm fed up with Apple again. Hi, Bob. Sure, the roads in India are as bad as ours. I've driven in India, Cormac, and it's lovely. Parts of it. Other parts are catastrophically lethal, but it's a little bit of both. Once you're aware of what's going on, the roads are actually okay. I think C plus E is driving license. Oh, C plus E driving license category. Yeah, of course, that's good. Do you think car buyers do much research apart from seeing whatever others are buying? I don't know. Some people do a lot of research, and there's a lot of choice out there now. So I do think people do a lot of research. People generally want me. The first question I get so there's two things happen when someone recognizes me, right? One is they go, Bob, I love your videos, or you know nothing about cars. Then they take a selfie, which I never see. I've never seen me in a selfie with anybody else. I don't know what to do with them. Maybe put them out in the wall or something. But the second question out of the mouth is, what car should I buy? And everybody's got a list in their head. So there's confirmation bias. It's a brilliant thing. If you never heard of confirmation bias, it's quite simple. If you like Nissan Tidas, you will really only see a lot of Nissan Tidas. And the minute you buy a brand new car, you see them all over the place, right? You go out and buy a brand new, whatever, maybe a Touran or something, and you start seeing Tourans everywhere. So the reason you do that is because you start to look out for other ones like your car, and that's kind of a confirmation bias. So I do think people do a lot of research on cars these days, more than they used to maybe, but I also think that people generally want someone like me to come along and go, you should buy that car, and that's it. I find a lot of viewers of the channel are actually people who've already bought the car and are just want to make sure that they bought the right car. So that happens. But Nissan Qashqai is a victim of its own success as well, in that there's so many of them out there that they're actually starting to not hold their value so well. What do you think about leasing? Leasing? Would you not consider renting if you were thinking about leasing? Just rent a car when you need it rather than leasing the car forever. Because you never own the thing. It's all completely dead money. You never actually own a leased car. So, and the problem is for leasing, particularly in this country, if you think about leasing this car, you have to be leasing like 5 cars to get a lease agreement in this country, right? So it's quite hard to lease cars here. But if leasing one car is not as easy. So anyway, new Toyota Yaris 1.4 diesel. Boring. €219, 24% tax without a down payment deposit. Guess. Yeah, I understand. There's benefits to leasing. And there's benefits to owning. There's kind of a benefit to everything. Like I know a guy here who rents a car every weekend and heads off fishing in it, and then gives it back on Monday morning and doesn't use the car all week. So he doesn't own a car. No interest in owning a car. It works out that way for him. What's the crack, horse? Is Darren. Come on, Darren. Today I'll be in the Indianapolis 500 race. Will you be watching? I cannot think. Is Indianapolis on a bowl? Is that the one that goes round and round and round and round and round in circles? Or is that the one that looks like it's going on a proper racetrack? Because they're really exciting, the ones on a proper racetrack. The ones that's in a bowl, I can't imagine. I don't see how they're even funny. How are you, Bosco? Says Dara Otuma. There's Dara. By the way, if you click on Dara's name, Dara Otuma up there at the top, he reviews cars as well in Ireland, by the way, for CBG. He's a cheat. We're all on the same team, though, boys. We're all on the same team. Is the new Prius that much better than the old one? Not a fan. Yes, it is. By a long way. The old one is a pale imitation of it. Afternoon, Bob. Have we covered the Up GTI? Yes, we have, Nick. You missed out, but I can cover it again for you. It's going to be brilliant if it's a new actual GTI and not just an Up with more horsepower. It's going to be brilliant. If it's an Up with more horsepower, it's still going to be good, so it won't be as good. Bob, I've been looking for a sporty estate car. Narrowed it down to the Focus ST, or whatever it is, At the new Octavia VRS estate, do you think the 245 is worth the extra? Yes, I do. Skoda Octavia is the one you want there, the VRS estate, or RS estate as it is in this country, VRS in the UK. Don't know why the V is missing over here. Brilliant car, brilliant, great noise, really powerful, really up there. Unfortunately, the Focus RS doesn't come in a state, otherwise I'd say the RS. But a Skoda Octavia VRS estate is a brilliant car to buy, without a doubt. 23 years old, currently C learner, rigid truck. Oh, you're a truck driver, right? So I'm sorry, Brian, but I don't see a real big future in truck driving in the distant future. Long distance. I'm only talking about long distance truck drivers, not talking about the short guys, the guys who drive around the town here, or the fellas who make particular deliveries to places. Will we see any new Opels now it's owned by Pug? Yeah, of course we're going to see Opel. We're not going to get rid of Opel just because they bought it out. They'll continue on creating Opels out of it, but it'll be under constraint, and it'll be... So why would you bring out a really good selling Astra that will outsell any Peugeot? Do you get what I mean? So it's a difficult place to be. Shareholders are always going to be a problem there. It's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be a bun fight for parts and things. But the share technology thing will come out, and you might end up with some really good cars over the next few years if they can all come to a nice agreement. Bob, I have an iPhone 4S, 6 years, and I'm not from Cavan. Commander, my wife has an iPhone 4S. She won't get rid of it because it fits in her pocket. It's the right size. The newer ones, the 6s and the 5s and stuff, are all giants compared to them. How highly do you rate the Skoda Octavia VRS Combi? One of the best cars. VRS Combi, yeah. One of the best cars. If you buy it in DSG, you'll never look back. Get 19-inch wheels, maybe even 20-inch wheels. Buy it in electric blue and get like the little red stripes and things on it. Brilliant. Sorry, that didn't make sense. Hit send by mistake. I don't know. I missed what you're saying. Leasing, not so great when you exceed the mileage, but neither is PCP. You can have PCP and exceed the mileage as well. You're still in trouble. So just bear it in mind that PCP, everything comes with terms and conditions. And I know we ignore at the end, like we ignore as part of a healthy, balanced diet. We ignore them words, and we ignore a terms and conditions apply. But terms and conditions really do apply. And if there's a way that you can be held over the barrel by an insurance company, by a leasing company, by a finance company, they will hold you over the barrel. Don't think just because a dealer sits there and goes, it'll be grand, sign that, should be fine. Don't. Terms and conditions really do apply. It is up to you to get the knowledge and to understand where you are in the market and to take full responsibility for the decisions you're about to make when you're spending 50 grand on a car. Bear that in mind. Just because I tell you the car is good, I'm not thinking about the car in 5 years' time. I'm thinking about the car today and how it relates to its other cars around it. So, terms and conditions apply. It's very important. If you're new here, click the subscribe button. It's down there, right? The red button. Beside that, there's a little bell. If you hit the little bell, you will get a notification whenever I do one of these videos or I upload something new. Do that as well. In the comments, if you click show more, you will see patreon.com/the next gear. If you click that, it will take you to the Patreon account, and you can give money there, which will keep this channel independent. I don't get advertising from car companies. Car companies do not pay me for reviews. I don't get money other than the YouTube money that comes in and some sponsorship stuff that I do as well, and talks that I give, and I come around to and talk at corporate events and things. I do that sort of stuff, and videos I make. But other than that, I don't get money from car companies. So, if you can give money on the Patreon thing, and I'll get a drone, and we'll start making drone shots for a crack. Also, in the show more thing, there's a whole list of equipment you can buy. Not for me, for yourselves. If you want to make YouTube videos or you want clamps or cameras or whatever, all listed out there on an Amazon link as well if you want them. And at the bottom of that, there's an address. If you do actually want to send me stuff, you can send me stuff as an address there. I get a little email when you send things. Quite cool. I have to say thank you to Parcel Motel for sorting that out for me. You're very good. Parcelmotel.ie sorted me out with this kind of postal address show. Really nice guys too. I purchased my last 2 cars based on Bob's reviews. That's really scary, I have to say. So when I get to test the Up GTI, it'd be greatly appreciated. Input as to whether I buy one or not. I think there's an international launch coming up for it. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we'll see. If I go on that, that'll be the first review. If not, it'll be whenever it gets to Ireland. Indy 500 is the bowl. That's the one who just bored the tears. Well, it's Formula 1 bored the tears as it is. So Indy 500 going around a bowl, that's got to be really boring. What is Irish government current attitude towards diesel in light of what's going on with them potentially being banned in the UK? They won't be banned, I don't think. I think they'll do the same as Paris. I think they'll odd numbers, even numbers, ban diesels on certain days and things. We have to get rid of diesels. The Irish government will do whatever people tell them to do, and whatever the SIMI tell them to do as well. And so we will eventually have to get rid of diesels. Car companies are moving more towards petrols. I've always been moving towards petrols. 5-6 years ago, I thought your petrol was coming back. Now it's back, and everyone believes me finally. They'll have to get rid of diesel. It has to go. There's no choice in the matter. 5 to 8 years from now, there will be no more diesels. 5 to 8 years from now, they won't be making any petrol diesel cars. Are Fiat's ever a good used buy? The rust issue is gone, but the electric isn't built. Fiat's haven't had a problem in years and years. If you can find a good, clean Fiat, you won't have any problems with them. Go over to Italy and see how many of them are on the road over there. Millions of them. They buy their own cars. Great. How many hours a week do you work? I work every day, 7 days a week, all day, possibly into the middle of the night. So there are times here where I'm working till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm working right now. If you consider this to be me working for you guys on YouTube, this is work. So this is Sunday. I should be on double time, right? I don't get double time for that either. But you should have. I don't know how many hours. I work every day, whenever I can, all day. I like work. Work is good. I couldn't get to Mondella today, Dara. I really couldn't. I wish I could have. I just couldn't. I was supposed to go yesterday. I had tickets for yesterday and everything. No problem to go. But it was thunderstorm, so I ended up in IKEA yesterday. So I'll guess I was missed. I don't even know what was happening in Mondella. I was just asked to go if I could go. Seen if you test a Model S around Dublin. Yeah, Teslas are gorgeous cars, but not. They're a little bit old-fashioned. Tesla, the company itself, is an IT company. They're not really a car company, so they don't really handle as good as cars, but they're still really good cars. If you increase the number of your subscribers, will that help your business? Of course it will, yeah, because it means you get more views. More subscribers, more views, means YouTube put more ads on the thing, means I get more money. Simple as that. I don't get much money as it is from YouTube, but, you do get a little bit here and there. Click the subscribe button, go to Patreon. Patreon's the best way. If you want to put money into Patreon, or you can send me money by PayPal if you want to make a single payment as well. PayPal is, my email address is bobflav@thenextgear.com, and that's on PayPal as well. The best way to support the channel is pay directly for the channel. That's the absolute best way, because that money doesn't filter through an advertiser, through YouTube, and 2 and 3 people taking little bits of the money away all the way along till you end up with like 2 cents at the end of it. If you give money on Patreon, I end up with a percentage of that. I don't know what the percentage is, but percentage of what you give goes to support the channel directly, to equipment, and to just keeping the lights on, which is good, or just keeping the battery charged. But yeah, subscribe is always a great way. Having more subscribers is brilliant. Hi Bobby, really interested in buying the VRS Octavia TDI, but PCP would be a turn off. What do you do? Save money the old-fashioned way, Craig Ross, was to save up money and go out and buy the car you could afford. My grandmother particularly, my grandfather would have told you that you buy nothing on finance. Nothing. You own everything you have. You pay cash for everything. That was the plan. But if you can get a bank loan, if you've been saving and accrediting your saving in a bank will look very favourably at loaning you some money for a car, but you still have to stump up a fair whack of cash yourself. So you gotta bear that one in mind as well. Brian Cullen, Bob, the Skoda Octavia is the best family car ever. Yep, I would agree with that. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it would be the best family car ever. Incredibly big boot space. I really like that, and it actually looks good too. Vauxhall replaced the Mokka in the UK with the Crossland. I think it's a Pug Vauxhall build. That's the way that will work from now on. They'll share everything. Very same as the Volkswagen Group right now. You buy an MQB chassis. We're all MQB. But it's right across all 4 brands. More than 4 brands. They use it in all sorts of things. Bob, any recommendation for a good city car, but occasional towing and maybe 4x4, good on slippy harbours? Wondered if it's just getting 6 months tax insurance and buying all extra. That probably the best way out of it is to buy something that's really, really cheap that you won't mind driving the whole of it. Depends what you're going to. The towing bit can be a bit tricky. I'd kind of stay away from 4x4s. 4x4s are only really good if you're going off-road. I mean, if you're going to drive into a mucky field and you think that your front wheels are going to lose grip, then the back wheels come in and away you go and you can keep pulling forward. They don't really add to the grip of the car in that same way. So it's a bit strange in that respect. But I can seem to remember that Hyundai came up with the best towing car recently. Was it Hyundai? Was it Tucson, I think, was the best towing car. There's a magazine, is it Practical Caravan or something? And they award points to the cars that tow the caravan. So they actually test cars based upon whether they can tow a caravan or not, which seems very anally retentive to me, but each to his own. I can't imagine doing that. Jeep Renegade, great car. God damn, Jeep Renegade's a great little car. Really love that little car. Fiat 500X is the Fiat version of the same thing. Really, really good. Bob, have you on podcast in the car? Get back to your Instagram. To get back to your Instagram, is it the next gear? Yes, it is. Instagram is at the next gear. Twitter is at the next gear. I think it's Bob Flavin on Facebook. Snapchat is Bob Flavin. I think that's it, isn't it? Isn't that everybody? Irish people still have. I don't post all of them, by the way. I do sometimes do a Snapchat, but it tends to be funny rather than being. I don't really tend to Snapchat the cars that much. Irish people still have an obsession with the diesel. Everyone thinks they need a diesel because they're cheap on tax. They're neither cheap on tax, cheap to run. You get discounted fuel, but that fuel will go up, by the way. Fuel is going down at the moment, but I bet you any money very soon we will see a parity move into a position where diesel and petrol will be about the same price. I'm going for pints, Darren. That's a really good idea, Darren. Will you put one on for me with each there in 20 minutes? New CX-5, what's your thoughts? CX-5, Mazda CX-5. Mazda makes some really good cars, Paul Glennon. They really do. The problem is they tend to make them a little bit on the sporty side. So they tend to be kind of sporty feeling to drive. If you're into that, that's good. They also make very Jin Bai Tai and all these kind of these buzzwords around, which confuses people as well. I have no problem with CX-5. There's European model cars out there at the moment that are very, very good. So the Seat Ateca is cheaper. Now, Mazda tend to load their cars with equipment, right? There tends to be a lot of kit as standard in a Mazda car that is options in other cars. So don't necessarily compare the price directly. But I do like CX-5, but it tends to be a little bit more sporty. The engine isn't as fuel efficient as it should be. They need to have more fuel efficiency in those engines because they tend to go to sporty ends, so they tend to put in more horsepower. Dashcam, Bob, do you think they should be made mandatory in cars, or maybe car manufacturers should integrate them into car? No, I don't think so. I think once you put a dashcam in, it's a bit like a cyclist with a GoPro sticking off his head. It's a perception thing. And at the moment, currently, you cannot legally use dashcam footage in a court of law. It can't be submitted as evidence. So you want to bear that in mind. Insurance companies will take it, but it's not been tested in court of law as to whether it can actually use or not. Dash cams can be good, they can be bad, depends on how you interpret them, how you edit them, what music you put with them, voiceovers, all that sort of stuff can muddy the waters around dash cams. But then if you go to Russia, you see there's whole channels on YouTube that are dedicated to Russian dash cams, which seems to be normal over there. We have a good, we're all right here in Ireland. We do well enough without having a dash cam. I just want to tell you that you are one of the best and most realistic car reviewers, and that's why I respect you so much. Keep doing a good job. Thanks again, and I will subscribe to your channel. Thanks very much. I can't pronounce your name, but I will do my best. Dezenko. Thank you very much. You're very kind. I do try. Another good one is I commented on his video last night and he answered me, which is kind of funny. Matt Watson on Car Wow does some all right reviews. They're good. They're good reviews. Just kind of commercial reviews somehow. Seems like click here for more than that. It's pretty good though. Who else do I like? Who's the guy in the shed? Jim Shed? No, Gary's. No, he's an English guy. He's really good. He's very funny. He seems to do like 20 minutes of just skidding around a field, which is kind of weird but good. Read these. Somewhere seem to be a few issues with Mazda diesels. Asians never get great with diesel. Well, I seem to remember the guy from Mazda, the designer, the chief engine designer, going on stage, big slumped shoulders, and walking out and going, "We designed a diesel. Here's a diesel." He seemed to be as excited about it now as anything. So it's kind of funny in that they never wanted to do a diesel in the first place. Diesels bar Honda. No, Honda does okay with diesels. I always liked it. It was a 1.6 diesel that Honda did. The old Civic, really good. Why does Mazda not have any hybrid cars? Because they're behind the ball again. There's a lot of money has to be invested into doing electrics and hybrids and buying in tech and not using the right tech and things. There's a lot to do. So it can be a really expensive thing for a car company to start doing. Millions are invested. And then if they don't get the sales, the trouble straight off. So the ones that are behind the ball at the moment are like Mazda, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, the electric cars. I mean, I know the Nero's here, but it still like took a long time for that stuff to come out. And all they're doing now is proving Toyota right. Amazing to see how many car users are still holding the phone in their hand even especially. You know what drives me absolutely bananas, lads? This is just, we've got to stop doing this. Seriously, you've got to stop doing this. Driving along the road like that, one hand on the wheel and looking at the screen of a phone, or in your lap holding it just down so you're driving like this. That stuff, you've got to stop doing that. God almighty, there must be a million crashes a day doing that sort of stuff. Put your phone away when you're driving. My missus gives out to me the whole time. I even put my hand down to change the channel on Spotify. She cracks up. She's right. Absolutely right. We've got to stop holding the phones. Hi, Bob. Greetings. Hi, Gary. From the UK. Love you. Love your channel. Thanks, Gary. What's your opinion on the current Alfa Romeo range? I've seen a few comments suggesting that Giulietta won't. I don't like Giulietta much. I feel you're sitting on the seat rather than in the seat. I know that's very hard to explain, but I feel like you're perched on top of it in the Giulietta. The Giulia, however, is one of the finest pieces of kit to ever come out, but only in the cloverleaf one, in the quadrifoglio thingamajig that I can't pronounce. That one is absolutely spectacular. For a couple of weeks' time, I have the diesel one, the standard diesel one, which is getting great reviews, and I have a little spin in it, and it's really, really nice. But it's very hard to get your brain off the petrol V6 and then go to diesel all of a sudden. But brilliant. Alfa Romeo makes some fantastic cars at the moment. You're never going to get a point where Alfa Romeo is going to make better cars than right now. But the Giulietta, no. I liked it when it came out. It aged badly. That happens a lot with Alfa Romeo. Look at the Alfa Romeo, what was that one that came out? It was really sleek looking. It was gorgeous, really narrow headlights. Looks brilliant, looks terrible now. And the finest car Alfa Romeo has ever made visually is the Alfa 159 Sport Estate one. I'd buy, oh, so good, especially by the 3.6 litre V6, gorgeous. Russian dash cam YouTube pages, yeah, there's hundreds of them. American dash cam is becoming a thing now. David Thompson said, Matt Watson makes me laugh. Yeah, he is funny. Myself and Matt often get compared because we tend to do sort of light-hearted, humorous reviews rather than that serious. This is a note signature time of 3.2 seconds and it goes on to 150. Who cares? We tend to do funny reviews. So myself and Matt tend to get it. And myself and Chris Harris as well. I know Chris as well. So we tend to get... Chris was making kind of funny things before he became Top Gear. Now he's making kind of comedy crap. Funny how Top Gear has become a YouTube channel. Did you ever notice that? Did you notice that recently? Top Gear has suddenly become a YouTube channel. See, my competition comes from the BBC. Never saw so many Bluetooth earpieces on London cabbies. Never see them here. Yeah, that's because the cabbies here just pick up the phone and put it up to their head because nobody enforces that stuff. Bloke in a Shed, Colin Furze. That's the dude. Colin Furze, he's funny. But there's also another guy. He's an older guy. Used to be Evo magazine, and he does a good YouTube channel. It's weird. He just makes like 30-minute videos. They're really long. It's like an investment of your time to have a look at it. But it's funny. It's really good. Adam Curtis is another guy that you should all check out. Nothing at all to do with cars. He makes documentaries about life and things that are going on. If you want to waste a bit of time, look up his hyper-normalization. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes long. It'll drive you nuts, but it's brilliant. Stephen Carney asks, what's your opinion on a 2006 Ford Fiesta Z-Tech? I got one, my first car. I think it's a great little car to drive. It is brilliant. Ford's best engine ever, and probably still is the 1.25 Z-Tech engine. And if you can mix that with a Ford Fiesta Steel, Ford Fiesta Steel, from back 2006, 2007. Great car, great engine as well, really good. Bob, great work. You're one of the best YouTube car reviewers in the general Portlaoise area. Thanks, Richard. The best YouTuber in Portlaoise. Best YouTube car reviewer in Portlaoise. How micro of a little band of width of people as that is. I'm the most famous YouTuber in Portlaoise. I think Mazda will be taking over poor sales in the US and Volvo. Mazda have very strong sales in other countries, so I wouldn't be too concerned about Mazda being taken over just yet. Although there will be an investment point where someone like Volkswagen or Volvo or maybe Dang Sang Autos from China will just wander in and go, here's 50 billion, go spend some money, and Mazda will be taken over that way. I'd like that Chinese company to bring back Saab. That'd be the next thing for me. Bob, do you know Scotty Kilmer? Great car DIY how-to videos on YouTube. No, I can't say as I know Scotty, no. I know most of the guys from the UK. I met most of them the other night over in Skoda. Great crack. Phil Huff and Tim Barnes-Clay, those kind of guys. All those guys, I meet them quite regularly at trips and stuff. They're all a bit of crack. Amazingly, Subaru is a massive seller in the US. Hardly see them in Europe. That's true. Subaru has massive sales over here. You will rarely see a Forester on a road over here or something like it. Subaru Ireland is out in Baldonnel somewhere as far as I know. I've never ever been offered a Subaru for review in Ireland. Now, so if you're working for Subaru Ireland, will you, whatever, drop me out a car or something so I can do something for these people. Got to run, see a flyby. Stuart Young, dashcam footage can be submitted in evidence in the UK. That's correct, it can be in the UK. You just need to be aware that you might also be filming your own downfall. Especially if you're speeding up to the point of where you actually crash. So yeah. Why did I call Chris Harris Monkey Boy? He calls himself Monkey Boy, and it's probably because he's very hairy. He's very hairy. He's a little bit smelly as well. What do you think of adaptive cruise? I love adaptive cruise. I think adaptive cruise on a motorway is one of the greatest inventions that ever happened to the world. Because you can relax. You can like take your eyes off the road for a millisecond without fear of rear-ending something in front of you. So adaptive cruise control is brilliant. Harry Metcalf, that's the dude, Dave. Harry Metcalf videos. Look him up there. I can't remember what his YouTube channel is called, but he's very good. Like it's 20-minute videos now of him sliding various cars around his field. I mean, he's really rich and plenty of money and stuff, so he doesn't really mind. But it's very good. I have more views than he has, but he has more subscribers. I was talking about that the other day. It's weird how that worked out. Don't forget to subscribe here. Subscribe here. Down below, there's a subscribe button. Click that. And if you click the bell beside that, you get a little notification whenever I do one of these videos. Plus, if you click the show more button, you will see that there's a little Patreon link there. Patreon.com/the next gear. And you can submit as little as €2 a month to keep this channel alive and being able to say whatever the hell it is I want to say. So if you think this channel is very good, then click on the Patreon thing and you can send money and we will buy a drone and we'll expand the operation beyond where we were before, which would be brilliant. But other than that, just click the subscribe button. It's fine. Just subscribe. Click the subscribe button. There's 50 of you here, 60 likes. Click. Can we get to 100 likes? Any chance of that? Click the like button there. See, I want to see that little thing go up. It's always funny when that happens because it all happens at once. Click like. There you go. Look, it's starting to happen already. Click like. If you had €100,000 tax-free and you needed 2 cars, winter and summer, what would you pick? I would have a Fiat 124 Spider. Preferably the older one, but if not, I'd take the new one as well. It's just as good. And that's the summer car sorted out because the kids can walk. And the winter car, I would probably have a 4-wheel drive Skoda Octavia Combi in DSG 1.4 TSI, and I'd have enough money left over easily to do a round the world holiday there. So you'd have about 40 grand for the one and 40. You'd probably have about 20 grand left over, easily 20 grand left over to go on holiday. How about that for answer, Brian Shaw? Where else do you get these answers? Subscribe, bitches. I can't see diesel going anywhere, especially in the commercial sector. In the construction industry, will be some standstill. Do UK runs on small diesel vans? I'm sure Ireland is similar. Yes, but you could very easily have a commercial diesel like you have an agricultural diesel, and take. The problem is not, by the way, commercial diesel is not the problem. The problem is retail car diesel, because nearly like 97, I think it is, percent or 96% of the entire market in Ireland is diesel. So that's a lot of cars. Is a Focus still better driving car in its class? It's not the best driving car in its class anymore, but it is right up there. I definitely consider the Ford Focus a really good drive, but they are wider and fatter and heavier than they've ever been. So the old Focus and the old Mondeo, the really old ones, go back like to 2000, they were really, really good because they weighed nothing, right? So a great crack to drive then. Go back even Sierra weighed nothing. It used to be rear wheel drive. So great cars back then, but these days it's a little bit different. There's a lot more to it now. Harry's Garage, Harry's channel, there we go. That's Harry's Garage is the other channel I'm talking about. I sat and watched 2 of his videos the other night and they were really funny. But the problem is the videos are quite long, and they're quite in depth. So if you haven't got time, it's quite an investment of time to watch one of Harry's videos, but they're quite entertaining. Harris from Top Gear did a great Evo YouTube reviews. Yeah, Chris used to do some really good stuff. Once upon a time, he used to do really good stuff. I think the internet might have suited Chris Harris a little bit better than TV does. So it's kind of weird in that respect. Some people are really. I'm really good on YouTube. I'm not too sure I'd actually make the leap very well into TV land. I think it would require an adjustment. And then people tell you what to do when I've done television. I've not in front of the camera, behind the camera. The minute you're doing television, there's a whole heap of rules come in and a whole heap of things you have to do to make something go on TV. Things you can and can't say. And you're respectful of advertisers and where can it be sold and what's the markets, and then your producers and directors and everybody's telling you what to say. Here on YouTube, I just kind of say whatever I want and nobody's done. So, but it's much harder to get paid on YouTube. Go man, David Thompson, subscribe. See, David Thompson subscribed down there. He clicked the subscribe button down below, and that's what you need to do. And click the little bell beside it. What options actually mean a higher resale value? It's the look of the car. That's really it. There's no options you put on the car that's going to improve its resale value. It's all about percentages. Always about percentages. So the car leaves the forecourt, it loses 10% of its value, or 50% of its value, 30%, whatever, it's a percentage. It makes a difference whether the car has 50 grand's worth of options on it. It's still going to lose a percentage. Options are just there to make your life more nice with the car. Kids can walk in the winter as well. Nice choice. You see, Brian, always get the kids to walk, keeps them fit. Why are they not pushing LPG anymore in the UK? Because they can't control it. And because it's another fuel source, another fuel tank, and it's very hard to do. And it's not as efficient as people say it is. It's just cheap fuel. It does definitely stink. The smell of that thing. And there's a lot of CO2 comes out of it. So what's the best driving car in the Focus class? You would be looking, if you're looking, Ford Focus RS is the best driving car in its class. But if you want to go to the standard, normal, everyday, like Ford Focus, Golf, Mazda 3, right? A pure driving thing, Mazda 3 would probably win in that one. Golf would be second, Ford Focus would probably be third. Honda Civic would have done well until the new Honda Civic doesn't do as well. I would probably say that a Golf would be the one I'd choose as a driving car in that. A 1.4 TSI standard hatchback Golf with a 6-speed box, and it's a great car to drive. I heard Mazda and Toyotas are joining up on certain projects. Car companies joined for years and back and forward. Mazda and Ford used to work together. Mazda and Toyota used to work together. And you remember the Mazda 121 that came out that was the Ford Focus or Fiesta of the time? Identical, just changed the badges. It was the first time everyone went, car companies work together? The first time anyone ever did it. But they do it quite regularly, yeah. TV would make you tone yourself down. Yeah, kind of. There's an element of that to it. But then at the same time, I would like a chance at television, see can I make it work. I think I could make someone else's program work rather than even be honest. I mean, if somebody attached me to something like Top Gear, Fifth Gear or something, not necessarily in front of the camera, but behind the camera, I think I'd be very aware of how to make something work like that. But Fair City, jeez, Fair City, is that still going? No way. People, that must be a retirement plan with an RT, is it? I love that. LPG kills boot space, no fuel stations, lower power. That's correct. It's another reason. LPG, you have to put a big tank in the boot, and it's very hard to get fuel, and then it really isn't as efficient as people made it out to be at the time. Right, that is 102 minutes of this live stream. You can subscribe here, please. Click the subscribe button down below. If you want, you can click the bell button. You don't have to, but it gives a notification to you whenever one of these live videos goes out at any point. If you feel like you want to support this channel, I'd really appreciate it. And I do appreciate the subscribers that are already supporting this channel and have bought me things to send me stuff, and you're very good. Thank you very much. I'm looking to get a drone, looking to expand how the channel operates. I'm going to bring you guys along with me, and we're going to make something that will be really, truly special wherever I possibly can. I'm making videos next week, and I'm going to make another couple of videos in between, which will just blow you out of the water very, very soon. I'm not going to talk about them, but they're coming soon. But if you can, patreon.com/the next gear. There's a link in the comments below. If you click show more, you'll see that at the top of the list. If you can give $2 a month or $10 a month or $50, whatever you can give a month over a period of 4 or 5 months, it's not much, it's £2. It's not really that much money. The more of you that give, the more and the quicker I can expand this channel beyond where it is right now and become that full-time YouTuber as it is, without having to make videos for other people. Or I've never taken car manufacturers' advertising money. I suppose the publications I've written for have, I don't take it because there's no way of doing it. There's no way a car company can give me money to advertise on this channel. Just pay YouTube. But if you can, do the patreon.com/the next gear. Click the link in the comment below. Subscribe here. And I'll try and do another Sunday service next Sunday if it possibly can. It's a bank holiday here in Ireland, and I'm only going to be coming back from Spain on Saturday. So I have to go over and drive some cars in Spain to do with tyres. Fast cars, big cars that I'm not used to. But we'll see. We'll drive them around the track and see if we can burn some tyres at them. But until the next time, you've been so good. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I will see you on the far side.